Monday night, 7 o'clock. Hashtag Real Race Talk. It is the Revved Up Sports Show with my bald ass head. Welcome in, friends. Showtime, Bobby Chaffee, Rodney Rodriguez, all of you at that new 7 o'clock time. I don't think we ever really officially announced that, Bobby, that we kind of threw that around a little bit as to what the time was going to be. But
I think we told ourselves, but forgot to tell everybody else.
Yeah, well, that's all right. So, 7 is just really good. I mean, that was kind of the resounding answer it seemed like we had, where it was like, it doesn't matter the day, 7 Central is just better, at 8 o'clock Eastern for our Racing America friends. But yeah, good stuff. Time to go, dude. The weather's hot. NASCAR's coming to Austin. That's where we are. And here we go. Here we go. We are loaded and just it's racing galore right now.
It is hot and heavy. You got the NASCAR stuff hot and heavy on the TV. You've got the Dirt World firing back up on all the different platforms. You've got ASA Stars fired up. You got them all. Sprint cars, you name it. Altimas down at the Freedom Factory with Do It for Dale. The real live Ricky Bobby, Cletus McFarland. We'll get into that a little bit later. But did you see that, dude? 76 Nissan Altimas for one race down at the Freedom Factory.
Yeah, man. Those are that's the old, back in the old days, we had the old Enduro 250s and all those things that used to be really big things. And I think that's where now people need to hone in and have those kind of races. When we do we can talk about the Super Tech 600 that has been rebranded. And I'm not really sure what the hell's going on with that in Texas. I mean, I'm sure people can fill us in on that. But those are the races right there where those are the kind of cars that you want to get out there. And that's where you're going to get a bunch of people that get out there and just have a good time.
That's part of it. You get people have a good time. They have a tendency to come back. Mm-hmm. That's why the format for the Lone Star 600 now, Super Tech 600, has been so successful. The people come out, it's 600 laps, 300 laps a night, but they go out and they have a hell of a good time. And that brings them back. It's no different on either side of the fence that you're on. As a promoter, you want your fans to have a good time where they make themselves, I had a good time, I want to come back. Promoters, same thing for the racers. They need to have a good time, so they're going to want to come back. Racing can be a bitch, and racing does suck on occasion. Like I've always said, for those that hadn't heard it before, it's not a windshield or a bug scenario when it comes to racing. It is a toilet or a statue scenario because in some way, some shape or form, racing will take a shit on you in your parade, and it just happens because it doesn't matter what track, doesn't matter what surface, doesn't matter what series, doesn't matter what class, what type of car. At some point, you're either going to be the toilet or the statue, and racing is going to take a shit on your parade.
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, and it's one of those things to where, I know that I talk to a lot of people where it's like dirt is different because the track changes and this, that, and the other. It can come up and sneak up on you. I mean, it's the same thing on pavement. And this sport is very rough. I mean, because you can be the best in the business one week and then you come back the next and you suck. I mean, I've been there. I mean, I've gone out and won races and then I come back and I can't do anything the following week. So that's where this sport, because it is very much, the mechanically inclined, and it still is, despite what people talk about, with the new cars and everything. It's like they've taken out the ingenuity and all the different things. No, they haven't. They still write a rule book for a reason, and we all sit there and try to manipulate whatever's in there, and that's a whole thing with that. But I think that these races, like you're talking about right there, like that race at the factory, that's one of those to where it does. I mean, it makes it fun for people because, like I've talked about a lot of times, the first Enduro that I ever ran in 1986, long time ago, it was like Leroy Farmer was in the race. It was all these guys that I'd been watching, and I didn't beat Leroy, but I beat a lot of those guys because they couldn't finish, and it was fun. Everybody had a good time, and that's the whole thing about having those kind of races this early in the year, that it does afford people the opportunity to get out there and have a good time.
That's coming up on 40 years, dude.
I know.
Technically 39 come the summertime, but
I still got it. I could still do it if I had to. An Enduro 250, not a 30-lap feature race or nothing like that. Enduro.
Maybe we should finally get together and build a damn 600 car.
I'm building shit. I am not building anything. Those days have passed. Bobby, I went out yesterday and cleaned my garage out, and that was enough manual labor for me. And by the way, I found a lot of race car parts out out there. By the way, anyway, but yeah, no, not building anything for old Double R. Those days are done. We're in this business now. I mean, you're gearing up for a full season. I mean, Texana, everything that's going on there. Our friends at Race On, I mean, they're doing all kinds of different things. You guys are gonna be working your ass off. Hope you all have fun with that.
I know. I didn't realize I was going to be quite so many dates, and then I started looking at my work schedule for all my conferences in the summertime, and some of them weeks are going to be long weeks because I have to
Don't go
go.
to work. Just don't go to work.
Yeah, I have to go to the conferences out of town and out of state, and then come back on like a Thursday, and then be at the racetrack on like a Friday. That's not going to be good.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
The
that's
boss may not like that, but we'll see.
yeah, you know. Our show is always presented by our great friends at Audio Visual Consultations. Right there, you see them up on the top side. These are the folks that make this thing happen. Of course, that's our home network right there, RPM Multimedia. On demand shirts out of San Antonio, and boy, they have gotten even more involved. We're gonna get James Cole on the show. Every time that I reach out to him, he's like, "Well, I'm working on something." We're gonna make him talk, Bobby. That dude.
Did you see that merch trailer they just got for stems? That thing looks sharp, didn't it?
That man, that's high rolling right there. That's boss hogging right there. What they're doing on demand is really dug in, and of course, it is the official apparel provider of Revved Up, of everything, of lots of race drivers. So check them out. And of course, we got to talk about our friends at Texas Sports Unfiltered and Circuit of the Americas, because that's coming up. A little race coming up this weekend. Three of them, as we talk about there. But I got to tell you, with that, and we can kind of dig in a little bit further, but I forgot IMSA is going to be there. That may be the best race all weekend.
Their timing isn't that great because their first race is Saturday morning at like 8:40.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm going to get to the media center that early to be able to watch that race, but
yeah. That I'm glad they're on the card.
That's going to make for a long day Saturday if you get there that early for that race. And then because the Xfinity, I think it goes IMSA Cup qualifying, Xfinity race, and then and another IMSA race because they're not racing on Sunday.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot. On the show tonight, coming up here in a matter of minutes, we're going to talk to Donnie Shipp. We'll talk American Crate Late Model Series, a very impressive schedule that came out a couple of weeks ago, kind of touring up in the northern parts of Texas. We'll talk about that. And then Jaime Call, one of the pilots, as I like to say, of Texas Independent Racing. The Legend Series is back. It's been back, and now they are growing even more. They've got the INEX sanctioning happening right there. So it's funny.
And the Bandoleros.
And the Bandoleros are back. And it's funny to think about now, because it's when you look at pavement racing, because I've had some folks that tell me, well, Houston, it's all the little cars. Look at Nashville. Look at all these other tracks. I mean, it's those smaller, more affordable kind of cars that are the ones that are kind of carrying the torch and making a big deal, with pavement stuff.
Well, I mean, it takes all of them to make the tracks go round, though. I mean, whether it's a big car, little car, whatever. But obviously, you want to find the most affordable, and why we consider money wise entry level, so to speak, or whatever, affordable. That's what Owen always says. There's no such thing as an entry level division. There's a thing as an affordable level. But everybody we talk to that raced a Legends car or has raced a Legends car talked about how much fun they are with the power to weight ratio. So. They've got, I mean, obviously, between dwarf cars across the nation and legend cars, they found a formula that works because those cars have been around forever and ever. I mean, legends are dwarf cars first in the Southwest, and then when Charlotte Motor Speedway, Bruton Smith, and them decided to make the legends cars run on those quarter miles. I mean, it worked. I mean, they found a formula that worked and had, even the legend car stuff has kind of gone down a little bit car count wise, but it seems to be kind of resurging all over the country now.
Yeah, I think the Legends are very interesting in the sense that that they have. I mean, they've come back because it really was at one time. You remember at TMS? I mean, that building is still there. If you go to TMS, where that was kind of the hub right there of with Charlotte and TMS, was one of those places to where the INEX and the Legends ran out of that place to where it was that big. And you go back and you look. I mean, the dwarf cars, that was a initial thing when that started, with Arizona dwarf cars and so forth, to where that really was kind of the the sense was to get them over to asphalt. In our days, with DCRST, I mean, and I was on the backside of that, to where there were just so many of those that, I mean, that was a great series. I mean, there was a lot of great memories there. But I think the thing is, now with the Legends kind of resurging once again, and again, I mean, Jaime can talk about this, but it's really good to have these cars back, because it's an affordable the part to get people involved, to get people to the racetrack, and they look cool. I mean, those cars look really cool, and I know a lot of the Houston folks really have honed into that. When you get 14, 15 cars, I mean, that's one of the strongest, if not the strongest classes you'll get in Houston. But it's really cool that they're back and they're doing a good thing out there.
Well, I think it's all about the ecosystem, right? You've got to get the ones. Obviously, you've got an array of drivers. We'll talk to Jaime about it. You've got the youngsters that have no experience, and you got some of the older guys and more experienced guys and gals in there that race those. So it's a good mix. It's a good class to have in the ecosystem. One, because it's an affordable way to go from the grandstand to the racetrack. They're pretty much all the same. You can change a few shocks and springs, but they all have to be, the like a sanction shock and spring and stuff. And then, as far as they go, I mean, I guess you could depend on your size of wallet and the girth and width of your wallet. Depends on whether or not you think they are affordable or not.
Girth Brooks. All right. That's what I'm talking about right there. Good stuff. All right. Let's go diving in. We're talking pavement right there. We'll talk Legends later, but how about we talk some late models? How about we talk late models in this region? We welcome in to the Revved Up Sports Show, the American Crate Late Model Series. Man, very impressive schedule, like we talked about. Looking forward to a great year, and we welcome in our man, Donnie Shipp. Donnie, how you doing, man?
Pretty good. How are you guys?
Donnie, my man, doing well. Like I told you on the phone, thank you for checking in and figuring out how this shit works. Nobody ever does. So really,
well,
really.
I knew if I didn't, my wife would have my ass. So I'm not a very technical person. I can fix a lot of things, but man, this kind of stuff, it drives me nuts, because I'm mechanically driven, and some of this easy stuff that she just goes right through, it takes me 2 hours to do. So
it's a pain in the ass, I will tell you. So Donnie, before we dive into the American Crate Late Model Series, let's talk about you. I mean, I love what you said yesterday when we were kind of going back and forth. You're just a dude. You've done this for a long time. You've raced. You've done all of this, and you're just a guy that wants to give people a place to race. Kind of talk about you, your career, and how this has all come about for you.
Man, started in '96. I ran 2 nights. Got hooked. I grew up around it my entire life. Dad never did race, but we were at Devil's Bowl every chance we had, just about. Later in high school, North Texas and Thunderbird were my 2 tracks that we always went to. Had a buddy of mine's dad that actually raced in, and my dad and Eldon Dotson traded a lot back in the '70s. My brother and sister went to school with Reggie, his son, and so we've been around it a lot of different ways. Dad actually helped a guy in the '60s with a sprint car that drove for the Bellmeyers. And so I've got a lot of connections, but not through my dad. And so when I started this, I mean, I didn't even know what stagger was. I built my first car with the help of my uncle.
Yeah.
It was the old big body street stock. Went and bought a cage kit and flux core welder, and here we went. So, man, I've come a long way. I built a lot of cars in my career too. There's a lot of sport mod stuff, and I've done pretty much everything. I always wanted to do the promoting side of things. Really wasn't ready to do it yet, but the opportunity to presented itself with not only the series, but me and my partner Josh Landers, we also co-promote Hunt County Raceway, so in Greenville. So yeah, I really wasn't planning on running the series. Even last year, I was sitting here with a brand new car, and Dustin got promoted at work and just didn't really have the time to do the business side of it. He still directs it, does an awesome job for us there. But I just told him, I said, man, let me have it, and I'll take it. I mean, I don't have a choice. So that's what we did. And last year was kind of rocky because I didn't get it till like April 29th, which was my birthday. Still haven't figured out if that's a good gift or a bad, but anyway, no, I love this sport, man. I don't do anything else for fun. I don't hunt. I don't fish. I pour everything I have weekly into this sport, whether it's up here working on our stuff or, I'm at the track. Like tomorrow night, I'll be at the track working. We're going to try to have play day this Saturday. And so, it takes a lot of energy but man, I love this sport. I hate to see the shape it's in right now. because I don't think a lot of people really have a clue how dangerous we are in the state of Texas with not having very many racetracks left. But we're a lot closer than I think a lot of people think.
Mm-hmm.
Donnie, that's for sure. We talk to promoters all over the country, and everybody has that same feeling that you're on a razor thin margin of error, of success, whatever you want to say with that razor thin margin, because you're one or two, every racetrack really is one or two rainouts away from going under again.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that people, and it's not that it's a bad management style or anything like that. It's just sheer economics of how much this stuff costs. Some people still think it's just as simple as just, tilling up the dirt, flipping on the lights on Saturday night, and flipping a few burgers, and here comes everybody to just fill up the place. But it's not quite that simple, is it?
No, it's not. And man, what makes it tougher is, like in Dallas, we have so much you can go do. And when it's 105 degrees outside, I mean, I get it. I mean, you can go to the Ranger game and they got the lid closed and you're setting at 80 degrees, and you're not baking in the sun. So I get it. But, me and Josh last week, matter of fact, we drove around Greenville for 2 days when it was 20 degrees and just walking in businesses, introducing ourselves, telling, hey, there's a dirt track out here. Can we hang our schedule up in your window? And we hung like 60 something schedules, and we're going to try to do that again this week. Just to try to maybe get that one or two different people that tells this person that tells that person. And then before you know it, you gain 10 people. So yeah, it's the sport's probably the greatest thing that's ever been a part of my life outside of family.
Mm-hmm.
But we got to get that convinced to other people. We got to show them what we can offer. And it's tough because you're fighting just like, we got a comp cams race coming up at the end of the March. And I just called 2 radio stations up here last week about running a radio ad, and it's a minimum of $3,000. So, I own a roofing company too. And we did a hailstorm. We got a hailstorm last year, and I rented 3 roadside, the big billboard signs. Cost me over $13,000, and I didn't get one roof out of it. So, people don't realize, you take that $3,000 swing on top of a purse that you already are paying. That's, comp cams is not a $100,000 purse, but it's pretty steep for a weekly type scenario, one night deal. So I'm hoping a lot of people support it. It'll be one of the only 2 times that you can see super late models in Texas this year. The other will be at TMS later in the year, but I'm hoping that gets supported by the fans and a lot of racers, So, but yeah, it's a tough business, man. It's one night you can do everything right. The next week you do exactly the same thing and you fail. It's the craziest thing I ever seen, but it's, I get asked, well, man, if you're not making money, why are you doing it? Well, you better be glad you got guys willing to step up and spend the time to do it. You can make some money doing it, but it takes so much to operate on. And that's what people don't understand is one week you can make $2,500, but the next week you may spend 45 because this tractor went down or, this happened or whatever, there's 1,000 scenarios that can come your way. But yeah, I just wish we could all get together and try to achieve. I know there's a lot of drivers that still do, but man, I see it daily on Facebook of drivers whining and complaining about this or that. And it's like, man, if racing's making you that miserable, maybe it's time to either sell, park the car, go do something else for a little while. And if it's meant to come back to you, it will. And if it's not, then, hey, you got to do something a lot of people never, ever get to do. So it irks me sometimes to see these guys with the attitudes that they have on Facebook, and they got all the right answers, but they don't want to help be a part of the solution. That's the problem. Like I've told a couple of them at our track, I said, do you think anybody that's on your Facebook page that hasn't been to a racetrack the way you act is going to come? Look how you act. Why would your neighbor come watch you race when you have that attitude? Well, man, I never thought of it that way. Well, it's simple one-on-one. I mean, it's very simple, man. And it's no different than life. If you have a negative attitude, life's going to kick you in the ass every day. So
yeah. I was at a thing, Donnie, years ago, and Mac Brown, former coach of Texas, was up there talking, and he was talking about people that hated their job, whatever it was. He's like, if you hate it that bad, quit. I mean, something else. And that really is a huge problem, with the racing. It's like, come on, people, soften this thing up a little bit. I mean, kind of, if you love this sport, you don't need to be sitting there beating up your track, your series, all these different things. Let's talk about the late models. You mentioned that right there. They're, North Texas, even down here on the south part where Bobby and I are, the modifieds and factory stocks and limited modifieds and B mods and E mods and every damn letter you can find. I mean, we've got them here. But to me, I mean, the super late models, like you mentioned right there, very few and far between that you get these big shows. Kind of talk about that passion right there for you to help grow that, because that really is a show to where people, weekly stuff is one thing, but when you bring in a super late model show, kind of like sprint cars, but sprint cars has kind of blown itself up to where it's like 305s, 360s, whatever. Talk about late models. Those things are so important right now.
Yeah, I mean, I ran Outlaw Modifieds for, I don't know, 22 years. And Patrick Daniel, a friend of mine, actually is the one that told me, so, man, you need to get in a late model. And I said, well, okay. Like I didn't know what to do. He found me a car and I went and got it. And I've enjoyed the last 4 years. I was kind of burnt out on modifieds. Having kids and stuff, man, the sprint car deal at 46, well, back then it was 41, I guess 42 years old. It's not appeasing to me. I enjoy watching a good sprint car race, but at my age, I'm not going to go climb in one. I done missed the boat on that deal. So, but yeah, the late model, the crate late model series and the car, I think a lot of people sleep on that class because they hear the word crate and they automatically tune it out. And I can tell you, I've had some of the best races the last 4 years. Not saying the modified. I mean, I miss a lot of the guys I ran modifieds with, no doubt. And we've had a lot of good races in that too, and there still is. But, man, that crate just equals the playing field so equal. And you really have to get the setup right. You really have to drive the car right. You can't really make any mistakes because you have no horsepower to fix it. Where in a mod, you got 650 that you can, okay, well, I got tight. Just give it some more gas. You can't do that in a crate car. If you get tight, you're done that turn. You just got to get it turned and regroup. But you gave up 2 car lengths, 3 car lengths, and you got to go chase that guy back down. So they're fun to drive, and don't let the crate fool you for what it is. I mean, I'm still not 100%. Like, I know it's got its bad things, like when I can't put an oil pan gasket on my own motor. It sucks. I get it. But when I can buy a motor brand new from Hendren and get it shipped to my shop for $12,000 ready to put in a car, that's the kind of stuff racing needs. When you got guys spending that kind of money or more on a factory stock, I don't understand that concept. And this year there's a lot of good factory stock paying shows, but some of these guys, their program's not where it needs to be to go run that. I'm not knocking any racer, but it takes a special work ethic to go chase that. And so, I mean, I went to Florida in that crate 100,000 win crate race, and I knew I wasn't going to win it, but I wanted to go see where I was off.
Right.
And I mean, I was running with Brandon Overton, Cody Overton, Mark Whitener. I mean, there's a ton of good guys there. And we ended up getting all the way to the non-qualifier feature, which actually surprised me because not that I don't have faith in myself. I've been racing a long time, but I've never raced with that group of guys like that. And, I've run a few USMTS shows in my career, but it's nothing like what I went raced on a track that never been to. Right. There's a lot of variables. So a lot of these guys, they get excited over that and they think, well, I got to spend more money on a motor. And motor's not everything. You got to get a good handling race car under you, and you can actually do more with that than you can motor. So yeah, I do think there's a place for the crate late model. It is growing. We got 4 or 5 guys that are putting cars together for this year. I'm really excited for that. And I think after this year, it's really going to be building a head of steam. Our point fund, I tripled it last year. I paid a $10,000 point fund, which had never been done in the series history. This year, I tripled that. It pays $7,500 to win this year in our series. So next year, my goal is to pay $40. If the upbringing of the money makes a difference, then I'm going to bump it another 10 next year. So, and you're getting to travel 6-7 hours and run with a good group of guys, and you get to run for 1,500 to win every time we race, at least 300 to start, and now you've got a point fund that you can chase in our series, and on top of that you have the national point fund through Crate Racing USA that you can also chase. So with that being said, if you win the national points in crate racing and our series, you can win $19,500 for points. That's pretty damn good for a guy that works for a living, that races in his own state, maybe bumps into Louisiana a little bit, stuff like that. So it's, I'm really excited.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Donnie, I saw a factory stock for sale for 24 grand on Facebook just a couple of days ago. And you're right. Just because you can spend the money on a 24 grand factory stock doesn't make you a badass. It just makes you really good credit or lack of cash at that point. Let's talk about the 2025 schedule, how it comes up. Rodney's got it pulled up on the screen now. And you guys have a really good mix of racetracks. You have a lot up north because that's where the cars are. And then you got that big race at the end of the season down there at the race ranch down in Corpus. When it comes to, is it harder to sell a late model race to a promoter or to a track because they're worried about the overall expense? And like you said, bring in like when you're bringing in the Comp Cam series, it's not cheap to pay that purse up front to sanction the fee to get them up there. So are the promoters scared of a late model, or is it a really good cost effective model to get? They know that when fans see late models on the marquee for that week, they're going to come and they're going to show up and watch that race.
Well, so our purse for a traveling series is the cheapest that I'm aware of in Texas. And so it's easier to sell that side of it. But it is tough for any traveling series right now because, as we started talking at the first of the show, it's just the overall cost. I mean,
yep.
And a lot of these guys aren't realizing that some of these classes and some of these series are not bringing 400 extra people through the front gate like they think.
Yep.
And so that's where you've got to, and I feel like I've done a good job at this, is you've got, and I think it helps because I run a track too with Josh, is we understand this side, but we also understand from the racer side. So I feel like my purse, where it's at, is beneficial for the series. The guys are getting a run for decent money. It's beneficial for the promoter. I mean, our purse is like $8,100 for a one night race. So, that's a good chunk of change. Don't get me wrong, but it's not a $16,000, $18,000, $22,000 purse for one class for that promoter to pay out that night. So, everybody's struggling. I know that. You guys know that. So the more purse you have to pay out, the more front gate money you have to collect, whether it's people in the stands or more money per head getting in the gate. You pick it, however you want to do it. Obviously, if you can make that where it's cheaper for them to get in the front gate and then buy the food and the concessions, then you're probably gonna sell more tickets. But when you have a traveling series that can come in and it's got guys that's running it all over Texas,
yeah,
that's a selling point, because you may not get to see certain guys race or have not got the race or see them race rather. And so, with my purse, I don't feel like I'm out of the box with asking a promoter, say, hey, we averaged 20 cars last year. We got an $8,100 purse basically. And I've had good response this year. I had a couple tracks that I wanted to go to that I just couldn't make it work, or maybe they didn't have the confidence yet, and that's okay. I get it. Late models have always died off in Texas. My goal is to keep them here. So maybe this year we'll prove our presence a little better, and next year that job will be even easier. So I want to get this big, 25 races a year, 10,000 in the winter for the points. That's where I want to head this deal. I'm working on getting a t-shirt trailer so I can sell driver shirts, crew, series shirts, hats, and all that kind of stuff. So I got a lot of good ideas. It's just a slow process, so we got to get there.
It takes some time. I mean, Donnie, lastly, one of the things that I want you, and you read my mind right there, because you have so much, up in North Texas, because that's where the crates are, kind of in Louisiana. That's really a stronghold right there. How big of a deal is it for you? Kind of Waco is I always say the equator right there for North and South, but to nail those dates in Corpus. I think that that's something right there at the race ranch to where you bring the late models in, and I think that that's where down south over here we're kind of we haven't had that feel of a super late model. I think that nailing those dates for you, that's where you really have a stronghold and can build this region down here, in my opinion.
Well, I hope so. Owens, we've talked several times, and he built my trophies this year for the Point Fund, and I hit him up, and and I said, hey, man, let's make that championship weekend. You got your crew, I'll bring mine. Should be a 30 car night, I hope, for you, and it'll be a cool deal. Kind of sell, this is so and so, and this guy's coming in battling. There's 10 points separating them. This weekend, a champion's going to be crowned. I'm not worried about up here because the late models have, like you said, this is where this got established.
Yep.
But in order for me to build credibility deeper in the series, I've got to get out of DFW. And I do have quite a few, racers from down that way that have been very good to me. Last year, when I took this over, I basically told them at the first drivers meeting, I said, guys, I know some of you don't know me from Adam, but if you will do one thing, I'll get this going. And all I need you to do if we're racing is be there. That's all I ask. Mm-hmm. And they were. So, like I said, we averaged 20 cars last year. I felt, basically not really building a schedule till the 1st of May. That was pretty damn good. Mm-hmm. And so we turned that year around and did okay with what we had. I felt like, but I'm really excited this year. I think you're going to see a lot of guys join in this deal, and I really think that the late model deal is going to be even stronger next year. I just think that a lot of the mod guys have asked me, so man, you enjoy them better than mod? And I said, well, most of the time, yes, because the crazy part about it, even with the crate, we can still turn a 4/10 to 5/10. Usually every time we're at the track with a mod, we're faster, no matter what the track condition, which is absolutely mind boggling to me, even with the motor situation in a mod. But again, it goes back to, it's not all motor, so, I can afford now probably better than I've ever been able to in my life to race. And I could still be running an open mod with, the best that I could buy. But, I'm enjoying the late model, having fun. So hopefully some more guys will join us this year and maybe get into it next year as well. So we'll see.
Absolutely.
Donnie, thanks for coming on. We have that saying, real race talk here. And you definitely bring the real race talk with those years of experience and saying it like it is. So we appreciate that kind of honesty from a promoter and a racer, because sometimes we have racers that listen, we have fans that listen, but sometimes they just need a little bit of that reality check to know just what happens and what it really means to go racing in this great state.
Yeah, it's man, it's still like I said, it's still good, but it's not as good as it needs to be, as you guys are very well aware.
Yep.
I just think we all, drivers, fans, man, we got to get the negativity off Facebook. Be positive. If you don't have nothing nice to say, just don't say it. It's not, it's not a big deal. I mean, I went to a restaurant the other night and had horrible service. They didn't even have no ice. It's on a Saturday night, 5 o'clock. The manager don't send anybody for ice, but I didn't get on Facebook and bash the restaurant. I just, I went home and thought, man, that was kind of a miserable meal, but it is what it is, so. I'm not a huge Facebook person anyways. If I have something to say, I'll tell you straight to your face. And most people know that. And, that's why a few people think I'm kind of rude, but I'm not rude. I just tell it how it is, kind of like you said, Bobby. And I hope people appreciate that at the end of the day about me, so.
Yep. Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah, we love it. Yeah, we love it.
What it's all about. Donnie, thank you so much for being a part of this. Please let us know how to help. I mean, I think that you guys are going to kick some major ass this year, and thanks for doing it, dude. Love this series. Love late models, man.
Yeah, when we get down y'all's way, man, y'all come watch us somewhere that's close to you guys. And man, thank you for having me on, and good luck to everybody, no matter what class you have that you can race. Just go race. So go support a track.
That's right. Get off the keyboard and go out and race. That's it. That's the main thing. All right, Donnie, we'll talk to you soon, my man.
Okay, thank you guys.
You bet. Bye. There he goes, Donnie Shipp. When the racers take over, that really good stuff right there. I love that, man. That was a really
it's like, I don't know if the racers have a different sense of respect for somebody that's been a racer that turns into the promoter. But I think that, the best part about Donnie is Donnie gets to understand. And he not only can he explain it on both sides of the fence, from being a racer to being a series promoter to being a track promoter. He understands all three aspects and what that means. And he can explain it in a way, look, this is the reason we're trying to do plan A, because of XYZ. Plan A's got to be this way.
Yep.
And if XYZ doesn't work out that way, then we got to go to plan B because of ABC. You know what I mean? Like, he's able to explain it from all three aspects of it. And there's a lot involved with it. And he definitely was right when he said, it's not as good as it could be. I feel though that we're on a little bit of an upswing, just a tick. We're not at the pandemic level upswing. Like we were. We're kind of at that critical crossroads where now we're back where we were 7-8 years ago, where everything's wide open. There's so much stuff to do now. The cities are coming to the racetracks. There's a lot, like in Corpus. There's a whole lot more stuff to do down in Corpus now that everything's open than there is to go to South Texas Race Ranch. But the problem is you're going to have a damn good time at South Texas Race Ranch. It's same thing at Cotton Bowl, same thing at Hunt County, same thing at Kennedale. Once you get out there, you're going to have a pretty damn good time. You just got to get the people. You got to get the extra people. You got your hardcore people that are going to be there every week, week in and week out, and be there and usually say something good and positive on Facebook. Or you got the people that are there every week and say negative stuff on Facebook. But you got to try to get the extra people to come through that gate. And like you said, you got to get that one person that goes in and says, "Hey, why don't you come out to the racetrack? We had a good time last week. Why don't you come out to the, tell your friends, tell your enemies, So I don't know. So
that's right. Good stuff right there from Donnie. Shipp. Coming up, Jaime Call. We're going to talk about the resurgence of legends racing in the state of Texas, actually across the country. But we'll talk Texas. That's coming up. But first, a word from our friends at My Race Pass. If you want to have the best race experience at the racetrack, or if you're not there, you don't have to be there. You can kind of dial in My Race Pass, get that app right there, and click on there, and you will know everything that's going on at every racetrack around the country. It's this easy.
Welcome to the My Race Pass app, the #1 app for motorsports fans. We want to make sure you get the most out of your My Race Pass app experience. With your new free account, you can use the My Race Pass app to see race day information, including event entries and official lineups and results for over 600 organizations across North America. You can also see track information and purchase online event tickets for select tracks. With your free account, you can also search for a track or series on the My Race Pass app and favorite their profile to receive news and race day notifications on your mobile device. To see more information and to see which app subscription is best for you, be sure to visit getmrpapp.com. My Race Pass.
That thing, Bobby, is really cool. You can actually even do fantasy racing on that thing. I kind of got caught up in that at the Dome and at Chili Bowl, doing fantasy racing on the My Race Pass app. So really fun stuff right there. Great conversation there with Donnie Shipp talking about the American Crate Late Model Series. Now we're going over to pavement, and we bring in a true pilot, a real pilot right here. It is our great friend Jaime Call joining us. Jaime, man, we got some where you been this week? Give us your whole itinerary of where you've been just kind of jet setting around.
Well, I'm getting over a little bit of the funk. I got something in, kind of a chest thing going. So I've been staying at home and haven't been doing a whole lot. The weather here has been kind of crummy. So I joke. I mean, if I wanted to live in Ohio, I'd go live in Ohio. Right now, it feels like freaking Ohio here. So but it's getting better. I'm hearing it's getting better. But no, dude, it's been fun. We went to Speed Weeks a couple weeks ago in Daytona. And that was really cool. And then I flew a trip right after that up to New York. But that's pretty much it.
Yeah. So Jaime, let's talk about your infatuation with racing, because I can only think that for you, I mean, with your normal job, for those of you that haven't figured that out, this man is a pilot, driving race cars. How did all this happen for you?
It happened when I went to school. I went to school in Daytona Beach. So my dorm room was right right off of turn 3. So right across the runway there. So, I mean, I was kind of stuck listening to it. And our favorite part was the end of the Daytona 500 when everybody would leave in their private jets. It was like an air show. So that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then my fraternity, we ended up serving beer back when they had backstretch stands in Daytona. We served beer. That was kind of one of the things we did to raise money. And I did the first, my wife and I both did the first night race in Daytona. It was delayed because of wildfires. So it was the Pepsi 400. They ran it in October. And I just remember, Dale chasing Jeff Gordon pretty much most of the night. And I mean, I like that. That's pretty damn cool. So, so I started watching, and became a fan, went out to the short track here at Houston Motorsports Park, to, see what it was all about, and saw these Legends cars. And I'd heard, that's how a lot of people came up into racing. They started racing Legends and stuff like that. So I thought that was really, really cool. And they did the meet and greet on the front stretch. And I remember my son Austin got a picture taken with Bailey Curry. He was running, I can't remember. It was a white and blue Pro Mod. Yeah. And now we just watched Bailey Curry race a truck in Daytona. So that was kind of cool. So that's kind of how I got into it. And went out on a limb and bought a Legends chassis from Zach Knowles here in Houston, and brought it to the track and had no freaking clue what I was doing, and just kind of went from there.
Famous last words,
right?
So Jaime, I talked to you in Victory Lane at Houston, probably going on now 3 years, maybe, give or take.
Yeah, my mind is going as I get older. It's been a while since I've won.
Yeah, it's well, not that it's been that while, but you were emphasizing that you definitely were going to make things better for the Legend cars. I think there was 3 or 4 cars that night, and you said there's only 3 or 4 cars right now, but there's going to be a whole lot more, and we're going to make this a whole lot better. Just wait and see what we're going to do, and you certainly have. I mean, I know Dane's involved in that, and the whole Texas Independent Racing crew, and everybody's into that. But you guys have really, it's a somewhat of a racing success story that we don't usually see that much anymore. But you guys really, with blood, sweat, tears, money, and lots of dedication, have made this racing happen in the Legends car class there at H&P. Talk about the growth of that series and what all you guys had to do to make that happen.
Yeah, I think my exact quote to you that night was, we focused in 2023 on trying to make the show. 2024, we wanted to be the show. I don't know if we completely achieved that. I'd like to say we put on a pretty darn good show, pretty clean racing. For the most part, every single night we were out there, and car count increased. So it's just getting the word out there. And honestly, it's mostly Dane. Dane busts his butt to promote this series. I mean, he's out there doing the extra things. He's going to be out there in Cyprus this weekend with a couple of cars at a coffee and grounds thing. Let me see if I can. It's from 8 to 10 in the morning, and he does stuff like that. Yeah, it's the shop club here in Houston. He does stuff like that. He's willing to do anything and everything to help somebody. Whether it's go run and get a car that's over in North Carolina or in Mississippi or something like that. To parts runs, tires runs, and that, I think, so his dedication to that, and I'm totally bought into that, and I do what I can to help him out with that. I think that's what helps. It gets people, they realize that, okay, because we're kind of on an island out here in Texas when it comes to Legends racing and asphalt racing in general. So it's, a lot of people are kind of like, they get their kids into quarter midgets and then it's like, okay, now what? Then they go to dirt. There's not much of a way to asphalt. So all those things combined, those are kind of the motivating factors for us. And it's just fun. I'm having a lot of fun racing with my son out there. Last year we were, mid-pack cars, and, this year I feel like we're going to be pretty strong contenders. So we got some new pieces in our stable. So, and everybody's seeing that, and they're just like, okay, cool. Well, they can do it. We can do it. And that's really what it's all about.
Yeah, Jamie, talk about that part, because what happened here? I mean, for the folks that maybe new coming into this, I mean, the legends were huge around here. I mean, we talked about, with INEX and everything happening at TMS. They had a headquarters there. I mean, everything was right there, and then it just kind of fell off. I mean, it kind of went away.
Almost overnight.
Yeah, exactly. Talk about what you guys did. You guys went out, and I know that you and I have talked about this. You guys went out and you found some of those chassis, and you built those, and you have them in house. Talk about how you guys put all of this together to where you built your car count, and now you have people that want to be a part of this from what you guys did, totally homegrown.
Yeah, I mean, so Dane. So I'm part owner in a pro mod out there with Jason Foray, and so I was out at the track quite a bit, just kind of playing car owner and watching racing really, and there was talk about bringing legends back, and Robert Foray, the crew chief on the pro mod, said, hey, I know you've got your legend in storage. Fill out this questionnaire thing. There's new track promoter, all this kind of stuff, and then then Dane and I got linked together somehow, and I think Mike Peters was the one that kind of introduced us, and it turned out Dane had a couple of chassis that he bought, actually 3 chassis from Buddy Gowdy, he was racing legends back in the day.
Man, that's old school.
Yeah, so so we Dane and I got to talking, and so I pulled my chassis out of mothballs, and we found a motor to throw in it because it was just a roller at the time, and he had a shop up in Conroe. So we got 4 chassis, 3 functioning, and the deal we kind of struck was, well, okay, so that 3rd chassis we'll put my son in, and we thought that was a great idea until the first night of practice when he looped it off at turn 2 and backed it into the infield wall, and he learned what hitting a cement wall felt like. So that was kind of how we got our start. We just kind of going from there. And Dane's funny because he's constantly sending me ads for cars for sale. This, that. I mean, I don't know when the guy sleeps. He's just got so much energy for this, and we just kind of methodically went along, and we got a new chassis for Austin, got that built up. Dane got really good at doing engine swaps and stuff like that. And we just kind of upped our game, and then the middle part of 2023, it got reunited with Christopher Hogan, who I ran Legends with back in 2013, 2014 before it died. And he was a freshman in high school when I ran Legends with him. Now he's married with a kid. So that's kind of cool, but he's still fast as hell. He was track champion last year, and he's our setup guy. And he comes in and helps Dane out with, putting cars together. And those guys, Dane and Christopher, if you just watch our pits on race night, man, those guys do not stop moving. I feel like a complete slacker because I joke with Dane. It's like, something that takes me 2 hours to do, Dane can do it in 15 minutes. That's why I have no business wrenching on some of these cars. I can do little things, but so it's really a collaboration. And then it's just meeting people in the pits, people that get pit passes or after the race. You just start talking to them. Heck, Tim Rasmussen in the number 17, I ran into him at a union meeting. He's a pilot for
also a pilot. Yep.
Yeah. So it's like it's kind of like we were just kind of standing in line waiting for food or something. I can't remember. And just talking about racing, because I used to be a rep. People were asking me, so what are you going to do now that you're not a rep? I'm like, I'm going to go race Legends cars. And Tim's like, I've got a Legends car. I'm like, nice, cool, let's talk. And so it's just things like that. And then more and more people getting interested. Austin, my son, and my other son Brandon, they race quarter midgets in Austin and San Antonio, and so we've got connections with those families there, and those kids, they grew out of their quarter midgets. So, you see Dalton Wayne out there and so a couple other kids. So, I mean, it's pretty cool. And we got some really cool things set up for 2025.
Yep.
Jamie, the one thing that's cool about Legends cars is I used to go up to the quarter mile track for the summer shootout series at TMS when Rusty had it. And it was one of those things where, like, yes, there, as an announcer too, the problem is people think the smaller the car, the less race car it is for some reason. I don't know why. But yet when the Legends cars get out there and they start racing side to side, nose to tail, quarter to quarter, you realize real quick that these smaller scale, 34 Ford coupes and sedans and stuff like that, those things are really really are race cars. Talk about that perception when you say to somebody, I've run like a 3/4 scale old coupe, Ford coupe. How do you relay that into saying it's a full blown race car?
Well, I mean, it's a lot of people ask me that question. It's a great question. Really, if you like racing things, man, just a wheel and a throttle. It doesn't matter what it is, man. You just want to give me a lawnmower. Let's have fun with that. These cars, I think because of who's come through Legends cars. You got Kyle Busch, you got Joey Logano. William Byron, geez, Daytona 500 winner. What was he doing 10 years ago? Well, he was iRacing and getting into Legends cars. I think, when you explain the chassis and how the cars handle and all that kind of stuff, and that it's one of the most challenging cars to race. And I'll go back to Christopher Hogan, when I raced Legends with him back in 13 and 14, he moved on to trucks. He moved on to pro mods. He moved on to late models. And look where he ended up. He came back to racing Legends cars. And if you ask him, he'll tell you right now, this is his favorite car to drive. They're hard to handle. And if you can figure these things out, you can race just about anything, and they're just fun. And it's also a lot of fun with the people that you're racing around too.
Yeah, it's a good group. Jaime, talk about, I know that you and I, when we talked prior there at HMP, one of the things that you talked about with growing the series was a lot of this was that you had to have maybe some older stuff. Older chassis, engines and so forth, tires, all of that. But I think that you guys now are at a point to where you've evolved. I always talk about Nashville. That's a great place for Legends. You look at that, that's one of their healthiest classes. Kind of talk about some of the advancements with everything that you guys have done in the last couple of years. You guys have been able to really push this thing to where now it's not so much about pulling stuff out of the weeds. You're right there with some of the best stuff in the country.
Yeah. So we started off with a couple of old 1250s. And going, the new engine platform is the FZ and the MT. The MT is the newest one. And those are fuel injected, water cooled. They've got, computers on them. They've got some really cool tech. We were running, 4 carburetors and all that kind of stuff, engines that they don't make anymore, parts that are hard to find.
Yeah.
So we're just, running around. Dane's doing road trips, picking up stuff. So we focused in this off season at let's upgrade. I think we had 10 spare 1250s in various states of repair. In our shop. It's just let's move on up. We're not going to be like the big teams in North Carolina, but we can certainly model ourselves a little bit around them.
Sure.
And so that's what we did. We ended up going on a huge road trip in December. Picked up spare FC motor, picked up an FC car in Virginia. That's going to be Austin's car for this season. Went all the way up to Maine and picked up a really, really nice sedan with an FZ in it. So we did that in 4.5 days. That was quite the haul. And so we're focusing on that. So now we have everything is an FZ or an MT. I got a brand new MT, never been run before.
Nice.
And so it's kind of a fresh canvas that I get to work with. I'm going to do some cool stuff with the wrap job on it to help a foundation here locally. So, so that the moving on to the newer stuff was kind of crucial. The 1250s were just, it's just kind of a dying engine. You gotta adapt in this sport.
So, Jaime, let's talk about bandoleros, man. You had mentioned a couple of times about the quarter midgets. Where do they go? Do they go to now they have the option to kind of go to bandoleros. Another very underrated race car due to the size. Not too many people realize it's a 30 horsepower riding lawnmower engine that powers that thing that you have. And back in the day in Houston, you used to have to put the restrictor plate on them because they were going too damn fast. So talk about the addition of the Bandolero cars coming to H&P. Talk about how cool that's been.
Oh man, that's super exciting. And it's, we had talked about it. I mean, Dane and I, when we did that road trip, I mean, we solved all the world's problems right then and there. We had all sorts of great ideas. And I mean, we talked about, you guys probably remember the last race last season, they had the quarter midgets out there in the infield. And the draw, the fans, we had some friends of ours that had never been to a racetrack before, and they saw these kids ripping around in the infield in these things, and they just thought it was the coolest damn thing. We do race over in sunny South in Alabama, and they've got a pretty healthy Bandolero class. And so we got to talking, and I got to talking with my crew chief on the Pro Mod, Robert Ferre, and their grandson Jason Jr. He's been trying to do the quarter midget thing, but traveling out to San Antonio and Austin to do anything it's not always convenient. And so, we're happy to announce, Texas Independent Racing will have a Bandolero out there on track this season. Jason Frey Jr. will be the driver of that car. So, I mean, we've got 2 generations of Freys out on the track in various classes. And I was joking with Robert last night that how cool would it be in a few years' time? Let's get 3 generations of Freys out on the track.
There you go.
So I think that would be really cool. But the bandos, yeah, I mean, that's, you talk to, I've talked to Victor Garcia. He's the president of the San Antonio Quarter Midget Association. And, that's one thing, his son Isaac is starting to, I mean, they're going to have fun this season, but he's going to be moving on to something. And a lot of kids are looking for that next step. And that next step, I mean, going from a quarter midget to a legend car, that's a pretty big jump. But a quarter midget to a bando, well, that's doable. And you get comfortable on the bigger track. You got crowds there. You got those big cement walls. You don't have those soft walls that you have at the quarter midget track. So it's a great addition. And I think there's a possibility that class outpaces the legends class. I mean, I think the car count, there are so many families with kids that are hungry to find something here in the Houston area. And I think that's going to be something to really keep an eye on.
I think that when the quarter midgets came to that final race last year, Jaime, I think that was something where people were like, there's nothing like this around here. How do we not have an outlet for them to be able to be a part of it? And by the way, that kid's going to be a race announcer. I think.
Oh, heck yeah. It's fantastic.
You got me fired.
That's who took over your job. Damn.
That guy came in, and it's like, oh, man, go out to pasture.
You're gone.
Yeah, I'm gone. I want to ask you, because I think that is, I mean, that's a great kind of on that tiered schedule, to how to move up. I mean, I think, from quarter midget to bando is a really good thing. You guys now with the INEX thing, you posted that as well.
Yeah.
And I think that is so massive right there. I mean, I know that you look at this big picture and everything, but being a part of that, talk about that and how that all came together now being a part of INEX once again, with Legends in Texas. And you guys built that. You did it all on your own, my man.
Yeah. Well, and again, all the credit goes to Dane. Dane, like I said, he works really hard behind the scenes. And we were toying with the idea last year. And the beauty about INEX is, it sanctions the track. It's one rule book. Everybody knows what they're getting into. I mean, because up until this point, we've just been kind of, I don't know, like an outlaw class. I mean, just kind of doing our thing. We've been using the INEX rule book as a guideline, but now it's official and there's points involved. So, people that want to come, to Texas, because we plan to do some traveling. You mentioned Nashville. We plan to do that. We plan to do Atlanta, and a few other tracks. Sunny South, we're really trying to build that partnership with them. And having those points paying races out there for people to come do makes it more attractive. I mean, there's also some insurance stuff like that covers us. Heaven forbid anything happens, but it's really, it just makes it a more official thing. And I will point out, the national race for INEX is in Las Vegas, October 23rd through 25th. And I mean, Houston is kind of, I mean, you just gotta, come on down to Houston on your way to Vegas, hit our October 18th race.
That's
and right. I mean, let's get it on. Let's see how we stack up against some of those guys that are racing out on the East Coast. That's what we want. We want to get people saying, man, Houston's got a good thing going. Man, we got to go check that scene out.
That's right.
So the INEX sanctioning really, really helps with that.
Absolutely.
So, Jaime, you're big into charities and contributable stuff. I know that when we talked the last time, you wanted to do the Tunnels to Tower thing, donating some of the winnings to that. So, kudos to you for always thinking about others before yourself. Obviously, it's a good thing. So, what other charities you got and individuals that you like to support here while you got the microphone here?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've been ever since I got into racing. It's like. The race winnings, that's one thing that's cool. It's not like we get a whole lot to win these things, but wait, what we do get, let's put it towards a good.
I thought you got thousands of dollars winning these races.
It's just like I have thousands and thousands of fans, right?
Yeah, right.
No, the joke is the best way to make a billionaire into a millionaire is get them into racing. So,
right.
No, it's just one of those things. It's always been a passion of mine. I never served. I know lots of people who have. And so I wanted to do something for, a military charity. So I started off back in 2013 with Lone Survivor Foundation and promoting them. It's a local foundation started by Navy SEAL Marcus Luttrell. He was Lone Survivor, if anybody's familiar with that movie. So that was what I did in 2013, 2014. But when we brought the Legends cars back, Tunnel to Towers was something that was actually my mom brought it up, and so I emailed them like, hey, can I run your stuff? What can I do? And so I built a pretty good relationship with them. We raised a few $1,000s for them within the 2 seasons, and then I felt that Tunnel to Towers, they've got big celebrities endorsing them. They've got big money. They do great work. I'm still a donor personally. But I wanted to get back to something local, something that doesn't have they don't have that money to go out and get those big spots on Fox News, CNN, all that kind of stuff. So, so Operation Red Wings Foundation, which used to be Lone Survivor Foundation, they're based up in Huntsville, Texas. And what they do is they focus on the invisible injuries, the traumatic brain injury, TBI, post-traumatic stress, that sort of stuff, which a lot of our veterans, especially our special operators, they see a lot of stuff, and they get hit a lot, and there's so many movies and documentaries on it. So whatever we can do to help them, and I figure, we haul 2 to 3 haulers to the track every weekend. That we're racing. Those are big freaking moving billboards. Let's try to get something going there. Very least get something on the cars. Get people noticing that there are. If you're looking to donate, look at Operation Red Wings Foundation's local. They do great work, and they're always looking for the help. So I'm a big fan of it. So that I figured, why not use my platform, what little platform I have, and run with it.
Yeah. Well, we can help you with that. So let us know how to help. Jaime, you talked about platform. How do folks find out more about Texas independent racing? You're not independent anymore. I know you still have that group, but kind of talk about where folks find you.
Right now, Facebook, Texas Independent Racing on Facebook. We don't have a website yet. We're working Legends Nation. That's been out to the track. That Jason Sticks Buckley has been a huge help to us. He's got an entertainment and marketing company that he just started up. So we're working on signing on with him to get website going and help us with the marketing and all that kind of stuff, and just get our brand out there. That's the most important thing is, and again, our mission here is to go race and have fun, but also help people that can't go get tires, or, we're going to do that. We've been doing it for the Legends. We're going to do it with the bandos. Robert Foray is going to be kind of heading up the bando division of TIR, if you will. and that's what we want to do. It is a business. We are for profit.
Sure.
You know, it's not a free service or anything, but it's just something that we can help you with. So hit us up on Facebook is really the best way right now, and we're going to be working over the next couple months on getting our name out there.
Yep.
Well, Jaime, it's been fun. Obviously, we get to see firsthand all the work that you and Dane and Christopher have done to make that group in Houston a kick-ass show. You know, little cars put on a lot of big excitement, is how we like to say it with your class. So congratulations on the success. We look forward to talking to you again with some future success coming up. Maybe with the new car, new motor, you'll get a chance to be some of these interviews. We don't know who's going to do them, but maybe you'll get on some of those post-race press conferences things. But man, good luck and hell of a good job for what you guys have done down there in Houston, trying to make Houston Motorsports Park great again.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, thanks for giving me the opportunity. And again, I just want to give a shout out my wife, my kids, my son Austin. He's going to Texas Tech in the fall, so that's going to be kind of tough. You know, he may not make it to all the races, and that's going to tug at my heart. I got to be honest with you on that one. I got some really good friends, love them to death, that support me, and so I just want to say thanks to all those people.
Yep. You guys have done a good job. Jaime, thanks for jumping on, man. Travel safe because you are a traveler. So,
yes,
do
I
that.
am.
Yes,
I am.
We'll see you at the racetrack, my man.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Have a good night.
You betcha.
See you, Jaime.
There he goes. Jaime Call, man. They have really done a good job, man.
They've done a damn good job down there.
Legends were gone. Absolutely gone. And it's kind of one of those things to where I've talked to a lot of people around the country, and they're like, it seems like in Houston, what you have is the legends and the legacies. And I'm like, yeah. And they were both not a part of anything for a long time. And it's been independent people like these guys, you know, with Texas Independent Racing, with legacies. They've gone in there and they built them classes or built their classes on their own, man. That's pretty freaking impressive.
I think what made the Legends cars even more appealing, not only the cost effectiveness, right, cost to fun ratio, is that the quarter midget deal, I think, opened a whole lot of eyes to an underserved market in Houston and in Texas.
Yep.
Because those kids all need somewhere to go.
Yep.
You know, and a lot of times some of those kids just quit racing because there's nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else close. And all of that. I mean, you got to travel pretty good distance in a quarter midget, you know, especially if you're in Austin or San Antonio, you're kind of lucky because that's where the two big clubs are.
Yep.
But I mean, you know, there's got to be an outlet for those kids to go somewhere, and Indo Bandolero makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much into a legacy car, legend car, a little bit of an extra leap, if you will. Not saying it can't be done, but I think that opened up a lot of eyes when they ran those quarter midgets, and people got to see, one is they got to see another alternative to get their kids out of the grandstands and behind the wheel. And then they also got a chance to see that legit, hey, look, I can move from a quarter midget to a bando to a legend car to a legacy car to a modified to a truck. They got to see that path for the next 10 or 12 years that actually would make you want to get invested in racing for a while.
Absolutely. And I think the thing is with a legend, I mean, you can do this. I mean, like he was talking about there with Chris Hogan. I mean, that's one of those things to where that dude was so good, you know, in those cars. And the Young brothers, I mean, yes, Jerry. I don't know if I need one, but I wouldn't mind driving one. But like the Youngs, I mean, like Jerry and Rusty, I mean, those are guys that have driven these cars for a long time and done really well. You know, Rusty kind of goes around the country and does, you know, Vegas and Charlotte and all these different spots. The legends to me is one of those divisions to where you can kind of settle in and do really good things in that. And I think that now with the INEX thing that has brought itself back upon, you know, Houston, I think that the legends, man, is going to, and with the bando thing, I don't know what the expectation is, you know, for the bandos, but I do love, and I love the way it piggybacked, like we were talking about with the quarter midgets. I mean, now you have that spot. Seems like to me the quarter midgets may be faster, but that's a smaller track. But at least you have a path. You don't have to dive in and go to a modified or a eco stock or any of that. So I think that this has really put Texas in a spot to where you can do some really cool stuff. And like we talk about with sport mods and modifieds and IMCA stock cars, you're not just kind of hung by the balls here. I mean, you can go run a legend wherever, like he's talking about Atlanta, all the different spots. So, man, I think it's huge. I think it's huge. And this is where, when it comes to pavement racing in Texas, I'm like, okay, big classes, you're getting overtaken by the little cars, but the little cars put on one hell of a show each and every time out there.
Well, I mean, look at our buddy Case James kicking ass in a legend car there in North Carolina over the weekend.
I
So
bet he'll show up.
they, now that they got the INEX sanction, I mean, he can run here for points and going towards, a national championship. So, think about that, doubling up, run a truck and a legend car at the same night at HMP. That could be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great stuff right there from Jaime Call. Before we get out of here, Bobby, got to talk about some NASCAR stuff. Atlanta with the big race right there. COTA is coming up this weekend, this week and weekend. Looks like good weather on tap here in Austin, but I think the thing coming out of Atlanta is, man, I really like, I know speedway racing and so forth. Atlanta's really cool because they kind of spread out. They're out there doing kind of some of that speedway stuff. The racing is really good. I like that. I got a dead battery. I'll fix that.
Well, it kind of reminds me of what it was back in the day, right? When you had, your golden era that you love, the early 80s. So where you had the opportunity to see the cars kind of run. Yeah, they're running in a pack, but they had the ability to come in and race together and come from further back and make passes and stuff like that. Yes, when you get in a bigger pack, you've got the aero issues and stuff like that. But to me, it reminded me of back in some of those early 80s style races where you got to see them, kind of come race around each other. Because there for a while, even if you didn't have help, if you had enough horsepower and the right setup, you could do a slingshot move and come around and pass somebody for third, fourth, or the lead. So I thought that was great. The Xfinity race was a lot of fun. Right now,
three.
the Xfinity race
the
truck race was good. The Xfinity race was really good. But NASCAR can't get out of their own way with the controversy about letting them race to the yellow or not. That's the problem.
That's a real, slippery slope that you want to talk about right there, because I am all about racing back to the line. But I do realize that if something happens and somebody, gets hurt or whatever, but it seems like to me more often than not, when these races happen or when the wrecks happen at the end, that everything's kind of happening anyway. Just let them come around. I think, and I hear the consistency thing, but there's not a consistent wreck. So I think that's the big thing. I totally agree with you. Xfinity is the best racing you're going to find. But that yellow flag thing, man, that race to the line, I don't know how you fix that, if you're going to fix that, or if you even try that.
They fixed it at the 500 by letting them do it.
Yeah, well, and that worked out. So I think that should be the way of the world. I think let them race back. The whole thing is, it's so much different now than it was back in the day, Bobby, because it was like when you had a wreck that would happen. Let's say it happened in turn one and they were going to race back around. You didn't know. You're racing into the smoke or the fog or the oblivion. But now you got people telling you in these things, it's like, okay, there's something happening there. You got to get it woed down. I totally get all that, but just let them race back. I think that's what you need to do to satisfy the interest of everything involved right now.
Yeah, I think so. I think if you let him race back, it's going to be a 3-wide finish again.
Yeah.
Probably the man of the hour, Carson Hocevar, is probably going to win his first ever Cup race with the way that they were coming to the line after that. But, I think that, the funny part about NASCAR's always damned if they do, damned if they don't. And racing is like that as a whole. But when you have the spotlight on the national series and the number one racing property in North America, like it's it's bad to see it, but at the same time, now you throw that in, you're coming up to the road course, a new road course at that, without having running the national course instead of the big long international course. I don't know why they tried to change it up. I don't know why. I didn't see anything wrong with the way it was run the old way. It puts more laps. If you're a fan sitting in there, you get a few more laps out of it, but I don't know. It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I keep getting all the emails and the 5 stories to watch about Penske and all that. And, some of those stories coming in. So I signed up for a cool thing today. I texted you about it. The ride around with Trackhouse today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean,
That's gonna be fun. We're gonna
yeah.
doing a ride around with the media with either SVG or Ross Chastain will be the one guiding us around the racetrack. So that's gonna be kind of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. That'll be a good thing. I think that, like, and when we talk about, to me, the Xfinity thing, I love that booth. I mean, I've tweeted this out and put it on Facebook. I mean, I love that dynamic right there. To me, when you're watching at home, um, Alan Alexander takes control of that thing. I mean, he's got a couple of good dudes right there with him that aren't stepping all over him. For all the folks that want to bitch about Jaime Little, it's like, well, it's hard for her because those guys start talking and she kind of clams up. I mean, she doesn't talk, but that Xfinity booth and their coverage is really damn good. I mean, I know that's NBC, Next Star, whatever, but that is one hell of a freaking broadcast right there. Both races have been great from those guys.
I wonder if it comes from that new NASCAR media center they built there in Charlotte by the R&D Center. I wonder how much of that production comes out of that building and then gets broadcast onto the CW airwaves. I wonder how that works.
Yeah, I don't know.
NASCAR didn't build that $1 billion building, multi-million-dollar production center to not run races out of it. They do just like the NFL does. Everything comes out of New York City and then goes out to Fox and some of those other places. Like Amazon Prime doesn't have their own trucks and all that, do they?
I don't think so. I heard something over the weekend, I think, to where they were talking about where Fox, NBC, and at some point Amazon, to where they actually share some of that equipment. But I think it's all how they produce the content, whether it's streaming or whatever, that they add their own nuances. I mean, I like the CW's graphics, I think, are better.
At the bottom, it works out really nice at the bottom.
Works out a lot better at the bottom. So, I mean, streamers, I would do that. I think that's a lot better. The other thing, you remember you and I were at TMS a long time ago when Jeff Gordon won a race over there, and people are like, they're all excited.
I stood in line and bought a hat.
Yeah, everybody's clapping for him. And it was like they hated this guy. They couldn't stand this guy. I think we're there again with Kyle Busch, right? I mean, that dude.
Well, I think it's like a wrestling thing, right? When a wrestler is gone for a while, right?
Totally what it is.
Roman Reigns was a bad guy for 3 years. He misses off the TV and in live events for 6 months, comes back. He's the most popular guy out there. And so I think it's the same thing when you see these guys that are very successful and then you don't know when the last one's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know when the last time that you're going to watch them win. They don't know when the next time they're going to win. When they get close to sniffing the front, they get a little bit popular. I think that's where Kyle Busch is at. Plus, he's not driving a Toyota.
Well, that's a big part. Now with RCR, I mean, I got a text last night from our man, Joe Dan Bailey, and he's like, I told you this shit 3 years ago that he would exit Toyota and they would love him, driving a Chevy. And I think that is a big part. But that whole dry streak, I mean, go back and look at it. Darrell Waltrip, people hated him. And then he was like the MVP, in 1989. Rusty Wallace, same thing.
Rusty don't boot him. He ain't popular, though.
Right, right. And that's where everything is kind of so different now. But it is really weird. But, I see people saying, well, with Kyle, he's turned a corner. Did you see him after the 500? That was the same old Kyle.
He ain't turned the corner.
Oh, he didn't turn the corner. And
listen to that in-car radio footage about him and Carson Hocevar.
Right. And Bobby, I think the whole thing is, with him, it is, that he's not winning all the time. And I think now that he has a kid, with Brexton and all that, I mean, that kind of changes things up, but he's still Rowdy Busch, and I would love to see him at some point. And I think that's one of the stories this year, because I know that RCR and I know that the 8 car has been good for the first few races here, but I think that they resort back to what they're going to be. And I'm curious to see what he does next, because they are not good other than speedway races. And Hocevar, you mentioned that dude. Why are people surprised that this guy is doing that? He did that in the late models. I mean,
what they used to jokingly call him, Carson Crasher Car or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, this is nothing new. I mean, now he's doing it, on this platform, and given the opportunity, that's what he's going to do. I mean, that's just the way he races, and that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. He could be the one that maybe kind of takes that mantle from Ross Chastain, because they told Chastain to calm down and don't be doing whatever. I mean, but maybe Ross does it, or Ross. This guy, Carson. A lot of people pissed off at him yesterday. Lots and lots. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing, in my opinion.
Well, everybody needs a black hat. I mean, you need to have a bad guy. And right now he's the bad guy. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know. This having 2 speedway races and a road course coming up is very interesting way to start the season. I think unconventional, I think, is a better way to look at it, because it's surprising. Luckily, the weather's going to be good here in Austin for race number 3 of the season. I still feel like they're here too early. The tracks that really benefit the most are Vegas and Homestead, because they're right at the beginning and end of spring break for most places.
Yeah.
Where Texas is a week early, we're a week before spring break here when they come to Austin. So I think schedule-wise, I mean, I hope to see the place packed. I think that there should be a fair amount of fans, just because the racing's not bad. It's just different. And it's not a bad thing. It's not a knock on COTA, It wasn't necessarily designed for stock cars, but stock cars can race on that place. I mean, it's just the way that the cup cars are now. I mean, the sports cars can run on the road course now.
Yeah, it's really hard. I think that with a road course like here, is that, and I feel this when I'm on pit road, like when they go by, it's like you feel that excitement when they go by, and then they hit the turn, and it's like, okay, now what? You're waiting around, you can see it on the screen and all the different things, but road courses are very tough. But it's to try to win some of the Formula One people over, I think is always a challenge here. I don't know what's going to happen. I just, like you said, I think the weather's going to be good. I know that there are a lot of things that are in place, for fan interaction, all the different things that are going to be going on in the fan zone and so forth. So hopefully it's going to bring some people out and hopefully get a good race. But I do think that it's tough for NASCAR, like we're talking about. When you start at Daytona, then you go to Atlanta, then you have a road course on a shorter course, like we're talking about. It's kind of dooming once you get into the regular weekly that doesn't live up to Daytona and Atlanta and maybe a road course.
Yeah, well, I mean, it'd be interesting to see. And I thought Atlanta was good, but I mean, I don't know. Daytona was shaped up to be damn good to that rain hit. So,
yeah. So we'll see. That is to come. Later in the weeks, we'll talk about the SuperTech 600. We'll kind of dig in there. I'm assuming, I don't want to say names, but I think we know who's running that. Maybe we'll have that conversation and talk to him. This past weekend, you had Supercross at Arlington. I saw a lot of folks that are a part of our social channels that actually made the trip to Arlington. And there you go, Cooper Webb. Again, Cooper's Place. Cooper's Building, my man.
A hell of a finish for that third moto.
Yeah, those guys are getting after it. Always a good time. There was Supercross. The Texas Grand is coming up and happening at the 105 Speedway. So we're starting to mount these things up. You got the Elite Sprint cars. I think that's this weekend at I-37 and the Race Ranch.
So Thursday, I think Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I think is how that shakes out.
Yeah, so you got that. Early April, the 99 Nationals that are going to be going on there with KR. So big stuff that's starting to mount up. If you're in the local stuff, and like we're talking about there with the American Crate late models, Houston will be kicking off in March as well. So it's go time right now. It is.
World Outlaws coming to Cotton Bowl and Kennedale coming up here next month. So
World of Outlaws, that's right. And if you're a pavement fan, the Cars Tour will get fired off this Saturday night, and a very different Cars Tour. You don't have Butterbean. Butterbean is gone. Quapple, I mean, Carson is gone. I mean, it's a whole different kind of regime that's going to be going on right there in the Cars Tour.
It's going to be fun. New place, new faces, and new places, like always. So the Car Tour, it's one of those that never disappoints. Every week there's something different. Usually not anything negative to talk about. But we'll see how that all shakes out. I got a feeling there's going to be some guys that are going to try to drive over their heads like normal. No names to be mentioned. I don't want to piss anybody off this early in the season, but you'll see some guys that want to drive in over their head and make a bigger splash than they, thinking they're running Daytona. But yeah, we'll see how that works out.
Yep, absolutely. Great program tonight. We talk dirt, we talk pavement. That's what we do here, right? We just kind of talk it all. Kind of
Yeah,
talk it
yeah.
all. Just
Even talked to little Cletus McFarland, the real live. He's been great. You saw the ratings for the truck race, right? The ARCA race beat out the truck race at Daytona. I call it the Cletus McFarland effect. The problem is that multiple people have referred to that guy as a real life Ricky Bobby. And I'm not quite sure we need another Ricky Bobby being the face of this sport, because it put a black, in my opinion, while Talladega Nights was funny, it put a black eye on our sport for a while, making it just not be taken seriously. And I worry about that with the next generation here coming up with Cletus McFarland.
Yeah, I think that it's very stereotypical about what this sport is. But I mean, the whole thing is, I see folks that want to, be pissed off at, whatever driver for they shouldn't be in that car, this, that, and the other. I'm not saying that Cletus, shouldn't be in a race car, but for folks that want to say that X driver shouldn't be doing whatever, this is a YouTube influencer, doing whatever. I mean, that's where that standard is very, whatever.
He's got the demographic that NASCAR wants, though. They need to take. I mean, I'm not telling NASCAR not to take advantage of it and throw that dude in a truck or a couple of more ARCA races. But that guy's, I mean, that, like I told you, that the Dale Jr. Dale Jr. YouTube video that was up with, or the one that him and Dale Jr. did, was up for 52 minutes and had 54,000 views. Like, he's got a hell of an audience. Like, he's got the numbers NASCAR wants. So, and there were 50,000 people watching his in-car camera before he crashed at the ARCA race.
Yeah, I mean, I will say kind of the difference to my whole theory with that is the guy seemed capable. I mean, when he was out there, I mean, look, I mean, the guy's a racing guy. I mean, that's a whole different thing right there. And what he's done, with the Freedom Factory, we talk all the time about racetracks being saved, and, now the Rev is going again in Louisiana, all these different things. But I mean, the guy's a racing guy. So you give him that, but it's very much a double standard to where people are like, these reality guys, and he is a reality guy, but I think at the same time, he is a reality guy to where he seems to be able to back up what he does. And look, I'd love to have him on this program. I mean, I've reached out and I think that we could have some great conversation with him, but, yeah, I mean, that is the guy that you need. I mean, that's what you need to win that crowd. Because man, you're lacking there. You are lacking there if you're NASCAR.
I mean, I'm tempted to buy one of his shirts that they got on the website, soaring around Daytona like a bald eagle, with a Caitlin Vincey interview that he did. So I might be guilty of jumping on that Cletus McFarland bandwagon too. So, but he did some good stuff. Him and Greg Biffle have been fun to watch on YouTube.
I'd rather have a Caitlin Vincey shirt, in my opinion.
Well, somebody that could probably help you with that.
Oh, that's right. That is right.
Two people that could help you with that.
That's right. A couple of people. Yeah, a few people. Good stuff tonight, guys. Thank you all for being a part of the program. Always live on Monday. 7 o'clock is going to be let's go ahead and say it, will be the new time. 7 o'clock seems to work really well for folks that 6:30 was kind of 6:30 was kind of hard. Bottom of the hours kind of was always tricky, but we did well there. I think we did well there.
Yeah, and we tested a few different nights. Monday still probably seems to be the best night, but we'll see. I mean, schedules and all that coming up in the summertime. We may have to do a Tuesday or Wednesday show, but that's what's great about the show. You never know. Generally, it's Monday at 7 now, but you never know.
It's hashtag real race talk each and every time. Rest of the week for you, my man. What's going on?
COTA is the big word of the day. Got some stuff lined up there. With the Arrive and Drive, the media tour there on Friday. Working on a Saturday schedule, see if we can get some bonus content out both here for us and then as well as for our buddies at Texas Sports Unfiltered to see what we can do over there. So it's going to be an interesting weekend. I'm going to miss you at the media center since you actually got to work this weekend. So, but it'll be all right. We'll make it do. It's kind of weird though for me this year. It's going to be odd not knowing as many people because we know so many guys and gals from the trucks. Whether it be racers or drivers or pit crew members or crew chiefs or whatever the case may be, we know so many people in that series. It's going to be weird to walk through the garage and not see those guys again in their own backyard. So
yeah, it'll be fun. It will be fun. Hopefully the weather holds out. And if you're not going to Coda, there's lots of other places. I mean, Texas Grand, everything we're talking about, the sprint cars that are rolling in, lots of different places to find some really cool racing. All right, you guys, we'll do it again next Monday, 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern. It is hashtag Real Race Talk. That's Bobby. He's down south. We are deep in the heart of Texas. I'm Rodney up north. Thank you all for doing this. Hey, be sure and catch the podcast. The podcast is available, Spotify, iHeartRadio, everywhere. About 1 hour after we're done, you can catch that audio podcast and share it and share these videos as well.
And if you're on the YouTube, don't forget to like the channel and like the video.
That's right.
Subscribe to the channel and like the video. Also, on a side note with the iHeartRadio stuff, if you log into your iHeartRadio account and you save us as your favorite, you'll never miss another episode because they come through and they will send you a reminder within the next day or two to say, hey, don't forget to catch the latest episode of the Revved Up Sports Show. The show that started it all, at least around here anyway.
They remind you. All right, Bobby, have a great week, dude. We'll see you out there this weekend, and we'll do it again next Monday.
Having a good time. Y'all have fun. See ya.